Welcome to Confessions of a
Publisher. Hey,
Publisher. Yes,
Hello,
so
beautifuls.
hey,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
so
not feeling
excited.
the greatest. The trifecta, one of the trifectas, one of the wheels is a little wobbly
It
tonight,
is. That's
but she's
okay.
gonna
You gonna
pull
be
through.
all right.
yes, yes,
She
Yeah,
gonna
this
pull
weather trying to
through.
take us down, but that's we're gonna make it. We're gonna be all
Oh
right.
yeah.
man, them babies got me sick. That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
we're back on this plug again tonight, talking about some good stuff, right? Who we talking about
Absolutely.
tonight?
Tonight is Marc Beausjour and his book Fires of Justice.
Fires of Justice. I had
Yay!
found some good music for that. He loved it. I'm glad he did.
Wow.
It was some like Superman type of no, it's like more of a detective type of meets Superman type music. I had just ran
Yes.
across. And I was like, "Oh, this look good. This is gonna be perfect for his book, like a
Hmm.
mystery type of book." But I enjoyed the read, and I'm ready.
Me
I'm
I
ready
did
too.
to
too.
talk to him.
Me
Yeah, I'm
too.
excited about it. I'm excited about I found some connections to him in this book, and
Hmm.
I really
Sure
want to ask
did.
him a few questions, which I think I know the answer, but I want to get it from the person who wrote the book. So I guess we can go ahead and bring him on. Okay, y'all
Bring
ready?
him on. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
ready.
Hey, Mark.
All right.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
We
How y'all
hanging in there.
doing?
How are you doing?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. I'm excited about tonight. I'm excited to get your thoughts on Fires of Justice and basically what you guys liked about the book and what your favorite parts of the book were. And I hope you enjoyed the roller coaster ride that eventually took place. I know
Oof.
I don't want to put you out on the spot, Calinthia, but I know that you didn't get to finish the whole book. So we'll do our best not to spoil all of it, but just a disclaimer alert, there may be a little bit of spoilers just because,
Yes,
um,
guys.
right,
It,
because there's a lot of nuance in this story, but I'm going to be more than happy to talk about what inspired me to write the book and some of the things that you discussed, especially where Calinthia said that reading the book, she made some connections to how I grew up and
Hmm.
just my hometown and things of that nature. So I'm excited to get into it.
So I'm okay with the spoiler alert because I'm still going to read it. I bought two
There you
copies.
go.
So
There you
I'm
go.
going
I
to
know
read
that's
it.
right.
So you can
That's
tell me,
what's
I'm gonna
up.
act like I didn't hear it, but I'm gonna read it.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's good.
Yeah. So
She's gonna
one
act
of the
like she
things that
didn't
I
hear it,
guess
but it's still gonna be a
exactly
spoiler.
right. Well, the one thing I will say is, and I just took down just a little notes, and I'm not going to really say too much just yet. But yeah, so the novel follows an English professor, Lavelle Thomas, a Queens native who takes a teaching position in Metro Atlanta and moves his family
Hmm.
south. Okay, so and then I think you guys kind of know what kind of goes on, and just initially from my perspective, this book actually tackles and touches on a lot of different things, false accusations, racial, cultural dynamics, moving from Queens to Georgia, the pressures of educators, the complexity of justice. Just this book is full of, this is to me a very suspenseful masterpiece that Mark has put together. And
Thank, thank you.
I am definitely proud to have had the opportunity to read this. And before I even go any farther, any viewers out there, um, you have to grab this book, Fires of Justice.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
agree.
Drive it some kind of way, grab it.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are your guys' thoughts about the book before we get to asking him more
The
questions?
nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree. My connection is a little bit bad, so I might be breaking up, but I'm hoping you guys can hear me. What I I did see, as you said, Shanita, the different dynamics in this book. What really um, made me really sit up and read is the dynamics between the husband and the wife, and his role in the household, you know, and his protection of his family. Even when he
Mhm.
was um in in prison or in jail, how he all he thought about was his family, which makes a big difference, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we get the stereotype about black men and about how they're not there in the household. Even when he wasn't in the household, you knew he was in the household, you know what I'm saying, in a sense,
Exactly.
right? So I love that piece of it, but I also felt that it brought pieces of you, Mark, coming from New York to
Mhm.
Queens. That whole different, when you see him driving down the expressway and he's looking and see the trees and see the difference in just the scenery coming from the airport. You're like, whoa, you know, how different does that look? Or you don't see the graffiti on the walls of the houses or the whatever, the
Mhm.
difference.
Hmm.
So I love how you mingled and mixed the two, your personal approach and experience where you came from
Yes.
and where you at now, because you are in Georgia now. So
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love how you connected that and the reflectiveness of it. It's like you hear your questions. It's like you hear you writing it and you're asking these questions as you're writing it. So that was my take.
Yep. And just before we pass on to the next person, definitely want to touch on what Calenthia just said. Everything that she said is so true. So Lavelle Thomas's move from New York to Georgia mirrors my experience. Just the fact about how it was such a culture shock for him. First of all, you got the Southern hospitality. He wasn't used to that. This was something that was brand new to him because in New York, everybody's minding their own business. Things are moving around so fast. Nobody has time to really say, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" or just kind of be neighborly because everybody is 24/7. They're quick. You know, they're moving up and down. If you see Manhattan, you see how it's crowded. Everyone's trying to get to where they need to get to. Times Square, Park Avenue, um, Penn Station. Even in smaller boroughs like Queens, everybody's in a hurry. Everyone's trying to get somewhere. So basically, I wanted to paint a picture where Lavelle is taken aback by how slow things are in Georgia versus how fast things moved in New York, but yet and still he moved down there not only because he wanted a better life for his family, but because he wanted to take advantage of this tremendous job opportunity that he has to teach at a high school in Metro Atlanta. And um, he feels like he could. He's a student's teacher, so he's very interactive with his students and he feels like he can pass on that type of experience to more students outside of his comfort zone. So that's what he wanted to do.
And that he did. That he did. He that's I'm glad you said that he was you said he's a student teacher. Not that he's a student teacher, but he's a teacher that the students
Well,
liked. And they kind of
exactly.
looked up to him, and he kind of
Yes.
had he prided he was real proud that he had a connection to his students to the point where
Hmm.
they didn't want him to leave, when he
Hmm.
was in New
Hmm.
York. And then they threw
Hmm.
in, and then you really did, you made it really clear the difference between Georgia and New York. You make that like
Hmm.
passionately clear. Like I could
Hmm.
almost hear it. Like when I'm reading it, I could almost like hear the trains, hear the talking, hear the walking of New York. So all of a sudden now I'm hearing cows. Now I'm hearing the leaves in the trees as he's driving. Like I can like hear it as he's driving,
Hmm.
and how his family is like, especially the kids is like, what, why are we moving? What is going on? Like, what is going on? And so it was a culture
Hmm.
shock. And then
Yes.
he, with the changes, you showed how realistic it is from moving
Yes.
from, even from some of us, like, especially like me and Calinthia, moving from the big city, Chicago, from the west side of Chicago, to moving to a suburb, to moving to a smaller town.
Mhm.
It is a culture shock. I even, you know
Absolutely.
what, Mom, tell you the truth. Look, I am a city girl at heart. Okay. But
Yes.
just like him, for my children and for a change of scenery, I relocated to the suburbs of Chicago, you know, and
Absolutely.
his story is so, that's the realistic part of it too, is that
Yeah.
we do things for our, you know, our children and for ourselves, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I still like noise though. I still have to have me some noise. Like,
Absolutely.
I could I could sit by myself for a while,
You
even
need to
at
hear
the.
the trains or what?
I do. I need to hear where I'm working now. I went from being at the call center where we're hearing people talking, we're hearing movement, and now I'm somewhere where I'm checking people in, and I can hear people's stomach growl 3-4 feet from me. I'm like, what? What? So I'm a city girl, so I know how he feel. I know how his family feel. I know how they
Oh yeah.
feel. But it was real. It was like realistic. I literally finished this book during my lunch today. During my lunch, like, and I was like, when I listened to a lunch, I was like, you know how we're not on the clock, so we have to keep looking at my watch. I was like, I think it's time to go. Oh, 3 minutes behind lunch. Let me hurry up and run downstairs. So between you and Calinthia and Shanita, you guys are inspiring me to push me closer to fiction. I want to tell you, y'all really pushing me closer to fiction with the imagination and this stuff. Like, wow, good job, Mark. Real
Thank
good
you. Thank
Yeah,
you
job.
so much.
excellent
Thank you.
job.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're inspiring me because I've never written a fiction book. I don't know if would be good at that. But I'm telling you, between
Stop
the two
playing.
of them,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh. I'm like, where are you coming up with this content from? But we can tell he's getting
Mm-hmm.
inspiration from his life, from his experiences, from things that, he's seen. And I know for me, like sometimes I could be listening to a song and I can get an inspiration to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark, let's
Yes,
talk
ma'am.
about, let's start to ask you a couple of questions. And I think I just want to
Cool.
just really start with the cover of the book. I kind of want to dissect the book first and
Mm-hmm.
then talk a
Yes.
little bit about what truly inspired you to tell this particular story, because people still don't really know the nitty-gritty of what happened
Hmm.
in the
Yes.
book.
Yes.
So, can you tell us what inspired this cover first? Why did you decide to have it with a guy with his fist up here with the fires of justice?
Um, Very interesting question. So, the cover, and I'm telling you, the cover actually took. That was probably the longest process that it ever took to come up with a good cover to kind of express a story. Back then, I was with a self-publishing company. I won't name them, but Shanita spoke to the CEO once when I was making the transition over to She. But I have to give him some credit for the cover because when he read the story, he felt like this would be it was between that cover and there was another cover with just two hands handcuffed and jail bars. So we were deciding which cover to put. So Fires of Justice would have had a different cover. So I had to choose between those two. But I felt like the picture of the man with his hands like this with the handcuffs, I felt like that was the best cover to use because if you look at especially the prologue of the book, I actually did some research on facts about how there's a disproportionate number of black men that are locked up for crimes that they have been falsely accused of. And then also, it's also a play on black men who are, even though they're free, they're like in an arrested state of development mentally. Like they're in a crab, they have a crab in a barrel mentality where they don't want to move past themselves. They don't want to evolve. They don't want to. They're not looking for better in their family or in their domestic situation. So I felt like that cover kind of is iconic on so many levels. So I felt like, okay, you know what? I told Bruce, shout out to Bruce from that company. I told Bruce, you know what, we're gonna go with this cover, the with the man holding his hand, because I felt like that's the best way that sort of signified the state of affairs in our community, especially among young black men. Even middle-aged black men, you know, are in that situation as well. So that's where the cover was thought of.
So I had a generalized question. What I did like the fact that you did do the research
Yes,
and gave us those numbers, because I think in this book you educated some people that did not understand those numbers. So
yes,
kudos to you for doing the research and putting it
mm,
out there so people can see it. And I can guarantee you that number has changed dramatically since you
yeah,
probably wrote this book. But the
absolutely,
other
yes,
part that I enjoyed was the fact that you kind of played on the fact that the young man, the Caucasian man that he was talking to in regards to breaking out of jail, and how he basically said, you know, how am I supposed to do that? Like,
mm-hmm,
it's privilege. Like, you got this
mm-hmm,
privilege to say that,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
so many, and what I thought about when you said that or when you wrote that was the fact that
mm,
he'll get away, and you as a black man will get caught up,
exactly,
right?
exactly,
And so
mm-hmm,
it tied it in with the numbers, but it also played played a significant role in, as you're reading this book, what to really
mm-hmm,
expect. And
yeah,
when we talk about what happened to him in the situation with this young lady, it takes you back to that same piece of it where you saying,
mm-hmm,
see, I already told you, he's already said this at
mm-hmm,
the beginning of the book, that hey, let's go ahead and break out of here. All we got to do is do X, Y,
right,
and Z, and then you see it
mm-hmm,
just building up and building up, and then you get to this part, what happens with him and
mm-hmm.
this student.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll get to that in a little bit because there's so many things in my life, and I think Shanita was going to ask me this, and I'll let her ask it. But there's so many things that inspired me to write the actual plot of the book, which is crazy in and of itself. Like I didn't think I would be able to formulate something like this, but I will be more than happy to explain where my inspirations came from.
Matter of fact, you can go ahead and lay it
Okay,
on out for
go
us.
ahead. All right,
Yeah.
perfect. So. Between the year 2017 and 2018, so I just finished completed writing Preacher's Web, which is my first book in a Black Sereno series. So there's a great book as well for y'all to get. And then I also finished writing Adia's Ballad, which was a follow-up to the Preacher's
Yeah.
Web. Yeah, so that one's pretty good. This was popular among my young female demographic readers. It's definitely a great story about a young lady who found stardom after the death of her older sister, and she finds out a lot of stuff about the music industry. And I actually did a lot of research on the record business and how they would intentionally rob their artists of certain recuperable funds that they're owed, even though they worked hard for it. So and then she deals with drama of her own in her community as well. So very, very dramatic book as well. So I finished writing those two books, and then I hit, I guess you could call it a creative block or a writer's block. So now I'm thinking, what's next? What am I gonna write next? Because I don't know where to go forward after Adia's ballad or how to proceed. So I did what I leaned towards what I do best, which is observe what's going on around me. Because I told this to Shanita when we had one of our first interviews, when I interviewed with She Publishing, my very first interview, that authors are a fixture of their time. Fiction authors are a fixture of their times. So basically, they write about the time that they're currently living in and the events that they're living in. So when I told you that quote, I was thinking about fires of justice. So I'm looking around me and I'm watching the news, and then I'm watching coverage about Zimmerman being let off for murdering Trayvon Martin. I'm watching a cop murder Philando Castile in his vehicle in front of his girlfriend. I'm watching Michael Brown being gunned down. I'm watching Alton Sterling being gunned down. I'm watching, and of course, more recently, George Floyd being having a knee put on him by law enforcement. And most of these killings of Black men have been by law enforcement. Now, fair disclaimer, not all members of law enforcement are like this. However, in writing this book, I saw so many stories, and I was in my mid-20s, so my social consciousness started to increase. I knew that racism existed. I was very knowledgeable of it, but I didn't know how deep this disease ran. So I started reading books, and when I say books, I'm talking about books on social activism. I was reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, by Alex Haley. Great book. I was reading Afeni, which the book Afeni was about Tupac Shakur's mother, which was written by Jasmine Guy, who you all know from A Different World, who played Whitley. So I read her book, which was pretty good too. And I started reading books like those. So I started becoming more politically involved and politically observant in my surroundings. And when I'm seeing those Black men getting murdered, I was like, you know what? I want to write a story similar to the accounts that I'm hearing. But it wasn't until there was a particular case that really threw me over the edge and angered me to the point where I said, okay, now I gotta write the book. And then it was when those 60 to 80 something women came out against Bill Cosby. And then they accused him of, raping them. You know what I'm saying? So he was accused of these different crimes, but it was without solidified evidence. It was just accusations and hearsay. So I was like, well, Bill Cosby's America's favorite dad, and he's an old man. He's really no threat from what I can see. And I realized that this came on the heels of Bill Cosby making a bid to buy NBC, which the structure said, okay, we can't let that happen. We cannot give this guy too much power. So if you look at Lavelle's story, Lavelle had just won Teacher of the Year, and he was a teacher that the students adored. He just achieved an award, an accomplishment. But there was a power structure behind that did not want him to succeed, and they were trying to bring him down. So I said, okay, I see what's happening with Bill Cosby. I see what's happening with all these young Black men being killed, being falsely accused. I had to do something about it. But now my next challenge was, how am I going to educate my readers in a way that is informative yet entertaining? Because I'm still in the fiction writing business. I want to make it readable for all my readers. Like, I want to make it interesting. I wanted the title to catch the eye, and I wanted the story to be a page-turning story where it's guaranteed to make people read even late into the night. They don't want to put it down. They got to see what happens next. So while I'm mulling these things over, a movie pops on my TV, 1993's The Crush, which starred Carrie Elwes and Alicia Silverstone. And for those of you who have not seen that movie, it's a movie about a young journalist who moves into a townhome, but then he gets obsessed upon by this 14-year-old girl, played by Alicia Silverstone in her first role. So I saw that movie, and to be honest, it's one of my favorite movies just because it was a thriller type novel, a thriller type movie where this guy is trying everything. Unfortunately, he leads the young girl on, which is his fault, but he tells her many times that he's not interested in her, but she keeps pursuing him. But he knows that if he gets with her, it's against the law. He would get arrested. So basically, I after watching the movie, I'm like, okay, you know what? What if I took that premise, but I make it a little more controversial? And then I make a main character who is a professional at something, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a writer, So I finally settled on, okay, let me create an English teacher or English professor, a high school English professor. And then the character of Raven Roberts, now I wanted to make her more crazier than Alicia Silverstone because Raven was, oof. So basically, that's how I came up with the idea for those two characters and then the setting of this book. And basically, when Lavelle Thomas moves down, everything starts off well. You know, I start penning the book, of course, going past the prologue. The first few chapters, it's a regular teacher-student relationship. But then things start to get weird, and then we'll talk about it later on. But basically, it takes a turn, and Raven goes crazy.
Yeah. And I just kind of want to just jump in just a little bit because you kind of answered a couple of questions that I wanted to ask because, you know, writing fiction books, you got to come up with these different characters. And I was just wondering
Yes.
with Lavelle Thomas, he was positioned to be the professor, and then Raven was the center of the crisis of all of this situation. Just wanted to know, how did you approach developing both of the characters? And so you kind of answered that question because you saw this show and then you saw that show, you saw the Cosby Show, then you saw this show, and then you kind of like merged it together and created something of your own. I think that is quite brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it wasn't easy to come up with the plot and the scenarios and the characters, you know, because basically, number one, I had a little bit of internal fear because I was like, okay, if I want to market my book to a wider audience, how are my readers in the Caucasian community going to receive this book? That was one of my concerns. But the more fairs I went to, you'd be surprised how many readers, white readers, buy my book too. You know, especially after they learn what it was about, because they can't deny this country's nefarious history. They can't deny the facts that I've presented in the beginning of the book. You know, they can't deny that there are some men that are locked up for crimes that they did not commit. You know, and sometimes it's for reasons like this. You know, so but yeah, Raven, she's precocious and she's very adventurous. I'm gonna say it like that. Very, very, very adventurous. And she takes a lot of she takes a lot of very uncalculated risks, especially if y'all remember the scene that took place at the school during the football game. I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about. The football game.
I was shocked you put that in there. I was shocked because Mark, I see you as my little brother. I'm like, oh, he just crossed the threshold to a cousin.
Well, Aloja, what can I tell you? Look, it's the end of innocence, all right? So basically, I
but it's true, Mark. But it's true. I just want you to know that I have several family members who are teachers and educated. In fact, there was one with me this past weekend who's a doctorate in education, and she's told me that the younger generation they're at least 10 years ahead of what we were. So when we were running off and going to parties and doing some of that stuff, we were already almost out of high school, in college and whatnot. Some of them are already doing things like that coming out of grade school. So it's like, oh.
So Raven was a fast little thing. I'll tell you that much.
But you know,
can we let the cat out the bag though?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you can say it.
Who wants to say it?
No, you say
it. No, I'm just like, because I mean, this is definitely going to be a spoiler alert. The fact that he was accused of.
He saw. Yeah.
Somebody's going to say
it was just say she was loving more than one person at a time. She was just loving one person.
Yeah, and that was Lavelle's. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's the
Lavelle's.
precocious part.
Yep, that was Lavelle's first mistake. So, as a
Mm.
administrator, as a member, he really should have reported them. But because he thought back,
Mm-hmm.
and if you read the book, Lavelle actually had a history before he married Kalia. He was part of a fraternity back in college, and then he was initially accused of hazing. There was a girl that was involved, and then he was basically the fall guy. He took a responsibility for this girl being abused by some members of his frat group.
Right.
So he, thinking back to his younger days, he knew how wild kids were. So that's what he excused it as. Okay, they're just kids experimenting, kids being kids. I'm gonna let it go. You know, I'm not gonna be
Mm.
the
Mm.
uncool. But that lapse basically cost him, because if he could have nipped that in the butt early, it could have ended the whole situation right there. So I had a lot of people come to me from different book clubs just telling me how angry they are at Lavelle for not nipping this in the bud early on, because he had so many opportunities to not allow the situation between him and Raven to escalate when it did. But because he let that pass, now Raven thought there was something more between them than
Mm-hmm.
just student teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was mad about that too.
You see, and
Yeah,
that's
I
the
was.
and yep, and that's what I
But
want to do.
I put that in the minds of men around me all the time when
Mhm.
because of the history, and I'm gonna always go back to my historical background, is we need to learn from the history of the people who are doing certain things. Historically, they are the same thing. It's the same blood that runs through some of their veins, and you just have to know it. And
Mhm.
I tell young men that all the time. If you're in the elevator and one person get in the elevator that may make this go left, get off the elevator, walk up the stairs.
Right, right,
Okay.
right.
Because that's how Black Wall Street burned down. A young man in the elevator, a young white woman in the elevator, nobody know what happened, a whole town burned down. That's how
See
that
what I'm saying?
started.
See what I'm
So
saying? Hmm.
that's why that angered me. First of all, he
Right,
shouldn't have been talking to her without his wife with him. That's
right.
my
And
thing. You know,
yep. And
why are
if
you
you
talking
notice,
to her?
right, and you notice that Kalia knew
Mm-mm.
that something was off about her from the beginning, because the way
Mm-hmm.
Raven greeted her, Raven was sort of like standoffish towards her, because she started to see, even then she started to see Kalia as competition for Lavelle's affections. So
Mm-hmm.
Kalia's like, you know what? And I'm sure y'all could attest, as Black women, we could always sense when, your men attentions are preoccupied elsewhere. So you know that something's going on. So she picked up on that first, and she didn't trust her, But it wasn't until Raven started asking Lavelle to give her a ride to school every morning, like, okay, it's okay to do it once in a while, but it was now getting to where it's like weeks on end where he's giving her a ride to school, and she's starting to get fed up with it. Like, okay, she doesn't have a car, she doesn't have any arrangements of her own. Like, why is
She
she
had
constantly asking
parents.
you?
Oh, you
Right.
you ain't
She had
look, you my
her own
husband. You
parents.
ain't taking nobody to school but
And
me.
and that's against
Okay.
Right.
school, what they do for students. You're not supposed to be taking students home. You,
Mm-hmm.
that he should have knew better
Mm.
anyway. It wasn't like this
See.
is his first rodeo being a teacher. He knew
Mm-hmm.
what
Right.
guidelines he had, and so um
Mm-hmm.
you knew what that could have cost you. So
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, Lavelle was concerned, and I'm looking at this from a guy perspective. That's why I knew a lot of my female readers, especially women in the Black community, will have a lot of mixed reviews about how they feel about Lavelle. And that's completely fine. That's what we're here for. We're here for the discussion. So that's why I look forward to this. But basically, um, yeah, I know where y'all are coming from, but from Lavelle's point of view, he wanted to still maintain the image of being a relatable student's teacher. Like, he wanted to be considered like, hey, I'm the cool teacher. You know, I'm the person that I'm not other teachers, so I'm laid back. I'll help you out. I'll hook you up. I'll do it. So he looked at it like doing her a
Mm.
favor. I think the thing was that he was being too polite. He was being too nice.
Mm.
He was being too generous. And his heart of generosity, that door was open so much that he couldn't see that she was slowly making a play at him. And she kept making a play at him, kept making a play at him. And then the situation just started to spiral out of control. And then it came to a head at his wife's birthday celebration.
Mm-hmm.
So
He was being gullible.
yeah.
Do you think, as you wrote, as you since you wrote this book, have you
hmm
had the opportunity to speak to male teachers?
No, I have not had the opportunity to speak to male teachers. I know it may look like it just because of how it's been written, but
Hmm.
because I was an English minor in school and I love reading, you'll see that Lavelle, what he does when he wakes up in the morning, he reads a quote by
Yep.
either Shakespeare or by an author.
Yep.
He reads a quote, and that's what gets him through the day. But as far and I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but he is like an agnostic. And I'm not gonna say a complete atheist, but he's an agnostic, means that he's skeptical about God's existence. So he doesn't
Hmm.
really lean on the Bible that much because he grew
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
up, his parents were Christian and they kept forcing him to go to church. And then he just
Mm.
he just got he felt like he woke up and be
Yeah.
like, you know what? I gotta start doing things on my own. We gotta stop praying for things and we gotta go get it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why one of the characters that endeared me the most that I created was Wes. I loved Wes, who he ended up being his fellow inmate. So, and I'm sure Eloja knows who I'm talking about. Calinthy,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you got there, but I think
Wes
okay.
was the
So,
if this was a movie, which it should be, just like you and Clinthia's movies, I'm waiting for somebody to call us about these books to make them into
oh,
movies. But
oh,
Wes was
Shanita gonna help me there.
that's
Shanita
right.
gonna,
And Shanita's projects, the publishing should be a movie. I can see that too as a movie. I'm gonna work on
mm,
my documentary. Y'all work on y'all movies. I'm telling you. But
yeah,
Wes was the just like when Malcolm X went to jail in the
hmm
documentary and he found
yes,
Islam. There was a guy
mm,
who took him there. That's who Wes is in the book. He was the
yes,
Hmm.
one that kind of, said,
hmm
you know what, you're gonna need some kind of faith, basically.
hmm
So he's kind of
hmm
took him over that. And
hmm
I mean,
and
whatever
that's
works
who
for
it,
you.
yep, and that's who roughly inspired Wes's character was Baines from the Malcolm X movie. Actually, yeah, that's who inspired
Oh.
because Malcolm X came in there. He was a thief. He was a
Mm-hmm.
robber.
Yeah.
And then
A
it wasn't
pimp,
until Baines
everything.
came, a pimp, everything. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until Baines introduced him to the Nation of Islam and then had him change his whole mindset that Malcolm began to educate himself behind bars and he began to get wise about the system around him. And then when he came out, he was a completely different person. He
Different
was
person.
dedicated. Yeah. So, yeah, Wes was cultivating a transformation inside Ravel. But I know I'm jumping ahead, but basically that's why Wes is one of my favorite characters in Fires of Justice.
Yeah, he was his person of contact person too. He kept him calm too.
Yeah.
And his roommate, what made you his roommate was kind of funny too.
Oh, you talking
Um
about his cellmate?
Cellmate. Yeah, his let me
Yeah.
say roommate like they in college. Well, cellmate, his cellmate, the way he kind of came into the picture of things, kind of
Yeah.
cracking a joke. What you went here for? What you went here for? The typical.
Right.
And I thought he was going to be like, I'm innocent. I'm innocent, like that. But he didn't
Yeah.
end up telling him that. But I
Yeah.
like the way you do have like these dynamics of these friendships. And he had
Mm-hmm.
somebody warning him, telling him what's going to happen. If
Mm-hmm.
basically don't drop the soap, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Now,
basically this who you gonna have to duck and dodge. You're gonna have to avoid
Mm-hmm.
these two. They the idiots up in here. They, you know. But
Well,
he held his own. He held his own.
he held his own. Now, during that particular part, well, not part, but during the scenes where he's in prison, a lot of people don't know this. So, but I'm gonna tell this. What inspired the scenes?
Okay.
I actually, am I good? Okay. Can y'all hear me? I know
I
I
got
froze
you.
up a little bit. Okay. So when I was 21 years old, I actually served jury duty, and I was part of a juror panel that was delegating a lot of cases, coming in per day. And during jury duty, the people in charge of jury duty, they took us on like a mini field trip where we visited DeKalb County, one of the state prisons. And then I actually went to the state prisons, and they took us through the mess hall, and they took us through many of the cells. Like, they actually walked us. And the bad thing about it, this was like in Marietta, the prisons were so overpopulated, they were building another building. They were building another facility because it was so crowded in that one facility. That's how crowded the prison system was. And when I saw that, I mean, it changed me. Like, internally, it was like, I wasn't a badly behaved kid anyway, but it was like, man, that put more pressure on me never to get in trouble with the law, because I don't want to end up in a place like this. I saw what they ate. I saw how they were living. I saw different types of inmates, all different colors, shapes, sizes, but there were some dudes there too. So when I came up with the inspirations for the characters of Treg and Joey B, they were, yeah, like you said, Eloja, brawny, stupid type dudes that, they wanted to test every prisoner's mettle when they got in there, and unfortunately, because Lavelle was a new guy, they wanted to test him, and I think the best part of that scene was, remember, before Lavelle got jacked up, his daughter had a nightmare, and then Lavelle's daughter had a nightmare where she foresaw her father in pain. Remember, she was crying to her mother and said that daddy's in pain, daddy's being hurt. So it was like a foreshadowing. So I don't know if y'all caught that, where she had that nightmare, and then right after that, Lavelle was walking through the corridor, and that's when those two jumped him.
Yeah.
So it's a small detail. That's one of the nuances that a lot of people miss, but I thought that was a very important detail for readers to catch on.
Yeah, I was wondering, has anybody else visited a penitentiary or a prison facility like inside? Yeah,
Well,
I
not a
have too.
prison, a jail, just the jail. The one
Visited a penitentiary.
No,
no.
No, I actually went to a facility. I don't think it was actual penitentiary. Penitentiary has more fences and more requirements before you enter. Like, you can't have your cell phone and things in there. You got to put those up. You can't, and there's certain places you could sit, certain places. So there's more rules in a penitentiary than there is regular prison where they hold you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, so that's the difference. But because Lavelle was accused of, being, assaulting a minor, basically he was they were gonna put him as a registered sex offender. So they were gonna lock him up for that, even though he was innocent.
Yeah. So how we get to him being innocent, there was a lot of details you had up in there too. So you can take us to the details of how you kind of unraveled the innocence while he in there fighting for his virginity.
Well, he's Eloja, you a mess. No,
it's true.
He's fighting not to be violated, no. But okay, so the fight for his innocence, I want to take my readers back to my first book. So The Preacher's Web actually featured a character, the detective, Isaac Sands. He was actually in the Preacher's Web, and that's why it's part of the series because I brought him back. So a series has reoccurring characters, so I brought him back. He's the only character I brought back from the Preacher's Web. But so Isaac Sands was a former detective in Queens, New York. And I don't know if y'all read, I'm sure y'all did, but Isaac Sands is suffering from PTSD because he was part of a SWAT unit that took down a gang in the Preacher's Web. And during that shootout, because the gang had a shootout with SWAT in the Preacher's Web, during that shootout, two black boys were killed. And then Sands has never been able to sleep well, besides that, because he's looking at it from a fatherly lens. He has a young son. So when he look at those boys, he's looking at them like those are his kids. Those are his. He looks at them like his boys. And he regrets that they had to die for the stupid choices that they made for joining a gang in the first place. So I wanted to paint the human side of Isaac Sands. Yes, he's a hardened detective, but he has human emotion. So he's dealing with that. And then now his cousin Kalia calls him to investigate this false accusation against her husband, Lavelle. And then Sands does an exceptional job. He's working off the clock because he's working for his sister. So he's working off the clock, or not his sister, excuse me, his cousin. He's working off the clock, and then he's investigating where there's an alt-right group, an extreme alt-right group. He's uncovering different things behind this alt-right group and how Raven's father was actually a member of that alt-right group. And so were the cops that arrested Lavelle. So it was all a setup as much as so he basically Sands had to discover that. But is Sands putting his own life on the line, digging into places that he shouldn't have been. And remember, Sands, when he moved to Georgia, he was back to being part of the police force. He was actually demoted to being just a member of the force. So he took that demotion. But when Kalia gave him that assignment to, hey, please cover this plot, basically he put his detective hat back on and he decided to go search around and say, okay, what's going on? So that's what I love about it is I love how the community stands up and I love that I was able to bring Detective Isaac Sands back in this role to uncover this plot. And you could see Raven's false accusation story begins to unravel piece by piece the more that you read the book.
Mm-hmm. And then he eventually was promoted or whatever. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome read. Even though you gave me pretty much the plot and told me what it was, I'm still going to read it.
There you go.
I because I am just intrigued with how, as a fictional writer, your creativity is so different. You have
Thank
to
you.
have layers about how you build the plots of these characters. So I am intrigued on how you, if I'm seeing it at the beginning and I'm seeing it at the middle of the book, I definitely got to finish it off to see how it all comes together. So I'm excited about reading the last of it. Maybe by the time I get to it, I won't be feeling so sickly and I'll feel a little bit better and I can get my stuff together. But I'm even with just what I read, during that time, I was hooked. I was hooked because you introduced Adia in this book. So now I want
Yes.
to do Adia ballad.
Adia's
So
ballad.
Exactly.
Yes.
so it's like, okay, she talks
Yeah.
about him, talk about who's this amazing singer. Oh yeah. And so it's like I want to see what's
Nice.
around the corner.
Yeah,
So
and that's the thing. So that's why that's the beautiful thing about the Black Cyrano series. And I actually learned that from other series that I've read. They always throw subtle hints about characters that were in their previous books. So
yes.
now you're curious about the origins of that character and how that character became who they eventually became. So now you're saying, okay, now I got to get this book. So that's
Got
why I
to.
wanted to do. So I wanted to point my readers, hey, Fires of Justice ain't my only card I got in the deck. I got more cards on deck, you know. So
Mhm.
I got a lot more
Nice.
rounds in my gun, so to speak. So hey, I got
Mhm.
so I don't mean to toot my own horn, but you know, I'm still working. I'm working on my humility. I'm still trying to work on it, but yeah, that's what I want to point out. And so I love Isaac Sands, like Detective Isaac Sands, and how integral a part he played in Fires of Justice. Because in Preacher's Web, even though he played a role, but he wasn't the main character in the Preacher's Web. He was working in a juvenile facility because he was trying to rehabilitate boys that were in gangs or young juveniles. So that was his position for many years. And to bring him in this role, to uncover this plot was huge, and I think it helped tie that story together. And
Mhm.
more people that want to learn about Sands can learn about him in not only the Preacher's Web, but I also bring him back in a flashback scene in Street Retribution as well. Which is another great book that I encourage my readers to pick up as well. Street
Yeah.
Retribution, which let me see if I have a copy of that here just to show the viewers. So I got Street Retribution, so definitely get that.
Mhm.
So that's a very good book as well. It's about a former gang member who actually became a lawyer, and then he helped put the leader of the gang that he used to roll under behind bars. Years later, the gang leader is
Oh,
free and is now trying to hunt him down. So that's what makes this book, very, very intriguing. So definitely Street Retribution is one to get as well. And then, of course, it leads to my last book, Divine Vengeance, where I tie everything together. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
there's a purpose behind, yeah. So there's a purpose behind every book that I write. And in every book that I write, I always want to provide a lesson at the end. I always want to provide something uplifting, something that when a character finishes undergoing a journey, they learn something at the end of the journey. So it's not just entertainment value. Anybody could write a book that's entertaining. Anybody could write a like romantic novelist. Anybody could write an erotica, a romance, or love scenes here and there. But there has to be purpose. There has to
mhm.
be meaning. Something has to tie your book together. And if you don't have that, then it's really just throwing the reader in circles. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have something that, as a fiction writer, you got to have something that the reader can take after they read your book. Like, okay, this is what happened to him. This is what I can learn from this. So, but yeah, that's what inspired me to pen Fires of Justice. And to this day, almost every book event that I participated in, Fires of Justice has sold out effectively because a lot of people love the story. They love what it's about. It's intriguing. It's a page turning thriller. You know, and like I think I need to start re-upping more copies because every time I go there, I always have to take back orders of Fires of Justice.
Now, do you
well,
have
we are
any
so glad.
audiobooks?
Yeah.
Audiobooks, that's something that we got to talk about, Shanita. So that's definitely the no, that's
Yeah,
definitely
because
the next
these
step.
books are thick. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. There's a lot in there, and it's because there's a lot of nuance in the books, in the Fires of Justice that I wanted my readers to take from it. I wanted my readers to
Yes.
understand that Black men are in a war, and not just behind bars, but even outside as well. We're in a war, not trying to get behind bars. We're trying to
right.
keep the man's foot from our neck. We're trying to walk the straight and narrow. We're trying to be career oriented. We're trying to do the right
Mm-hmm.
thing, but there's so many forces that are preventing us from continually doing the right thing. Whether it's um, getting suckered into doing something that you wouldn't do, or whether it's being tempted by a young underage girl. As in Lavelle's case. So
Mm.
yeah, Lavelle gets caught up, and like I said, all these things that he went through, it could have been prevented, but because he was in a sense, he was a little naive to what could happen to him, and then he was also too nice for his own good. So when he went through that, you could tell behind bars he wanted to do something to her because he was blaming her for his situation, you know. So that experience ends up hardening him, you know, and he ends up now understanding what the position that he's living in and how he can arm other black men to, hey, avoid this happening to you. And that's what Wes leaves him with. Wes says, hey, you see, God gave you a way. You know, now it's up to you to educate young men and boys out there not to end up how we ended up. You know, and that's what he wanted to teach, and that's why like I said, Wes is one of my most endearing characters of Fires of Justice, as well as Detective Isaac Sands. You
Yeah.
know, and Kalia, because Kalia is a testament of a, a faithful wife sticking by her husband, and a wife that is going to ride with her husband no matter what. Some women, honestly, would have left their man in the situation that they in, or would need some time to deal with it. Kalia was like, nah, I know that Lavelle ain't done this. I know that he's innocent, and I'm gonna do something about it. So she
Yeah.
didn't stick by her laurels or stay behind. She was a woman of action, and she jumped to it. And that's iconic of how the black family really should stand, especially nowadays, because the goal in today's society is to break up the
The
black
family.
nuclear family. They want to break us up. That was what the war on drugs was mainly about. Okay, the war on drugs in the 80s. You know, I know I'm a little bit young. I don't remember too much of it, but I did watch the clips, you know, where they dumped the drugs into the communities, and then, you know, they arrested black men mostly that were dealing, and they gave them lengthy sentences. The point of that was to separate them from the family, you know, from the wife, from the kids. And then, of course, the 90s, you
Yeah.
had Clinton with the three strikes law. And then that was another way that was effective in separating the black men from the nuclear family. So, you know, that's what I wanted to show. I wanted to show the power and the unity in the black family.
And
So that's
family.
why Kalia was so instrumental in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Kudos to
wasn't no
you,
punk.
Mark. Yeah, kudos to
Thank
you.
you.
You
Thank
did
you.
an amazing job with this book.
Thank you.
Truly, truly an amazing job. So
Thank you
definitely we
so
want
much.
the audience to definitely go out and get these books. You have done yourself justice. No pun on justice, but you've done yourself justice.
I
You've
see what
done
you
an
did there. I
amazing
liked it.
job with this book.
Thank you.
And I'm going to finish it up, and then I'm going to move myself to the Adia's ballot because I want to see what that looks like. But
Awesome.
um, we just thank you for just being who you are, the award-winning author that you are. And we
Thank
see
you.
why you are an award-winning author. So
Okay. Well,
thank
No,
you,
well,
thank you, thank you.
yeah, I know I had to flaunt it.
I know
Oh,
you
I
right.
know.
That's
Thank you so
right.
much. This was a great roundtable. Yes, show them off, show them off. Roundtable discussion
thank you.
about
Thank you.
your
Thank
books
you.
and what to expect in your next books for. So if you got some people that are out here, you got some people that are
mhm.
going to start picking this up because really this was a phenomenal read.
Thank you
Phenomenal
so
read.
much. Thank you. And
You're
to
so
all my
welcome.
readers out there, I definitely would encourage you to pick up Fires of Justice. It doesn't matter what race, what walk of life that you come from. Like I said, even my Caucasian readers, they will find something in this book. My Hispanic readers will find something in this book. My Black readers will find something in this book. I have coworkers at my day job that have purchased Fires of Justice. I don't know if they're watching right now, but if they are, shout out to them. Thank you for your support. I have other members on my social media that have purchased Fires of Justice. Shout out to them. So definitely get that. And believe me, there's much more coming. I'm currently writing a book right now. Right now, my laptop is I need to replace my laptop. So I'm working on that. And then once I do that, then I should continue writing. I've already done a good percentage of it. But it's going to be, just to give you a look, I'm not going to tell y'all the title yet. I'm going to leave that a secret. I did show Shanitha like kind of like the cover page once, but that was it. But it's going to be a book that's going to center on like domestic violence in relationships. So I really want to center that. and I want to release it in 2026. So that's going to be the next step. And of course,
Congratulations.
I got
Congratulations.
yep, and I got much more
Yay.
events planned next year. So next February, I will be going to New Orleans with other authors to
Okay.
join Meet the World Image Solutions. We're going to be in
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans for the what was it? The Black History Month Literary
Yeah.
Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be joining. I think Royce will be going there too, if I'm not mistaken. Royce will be there, and I'm trying to
Okay.
remember.
I'll be there
Shartia will be
again.
one of. Yep, Aloja will be there. Shartia will
Mm-hmm.
be hosting the Ivory and Cream affair there. So those of
Yes.
you who are in the New Orleans area, I think the tickets will start going on sale for the Ivory and Cream affair on December 1st. So definitely get your tickets, and I hope to see y'all there and come support the Black Cyrano series.
Well, thank you, Mark. You have done us justice again. As I say, you have done us
Mm-hmm.
justice. We truly, truly appreciate you spending
Thank
your
you.
hour with us talking about your work.
Thank
So
you so much.
we we in the trifecta, as you have called
Deemed
us,
us.
we're gonna pull you off, and me and those ladies are gonna talk about some stuff. But thank you for taking up the time
Thank
tonight
you,
to talk about your
Mark.
book and do this roundtable
You mind?
discussion.
Thank you so much. You have a good
Yes.
night.
Hey,
Thank
Renault.
you.
Good
All
night.
right. Good night.
Nice.
Good night.
Ladies, that was an
Yes.
amazing discussion.
Yeah.
An
His
amazing
mate, he's so
discussion.
Yeah.
supportive and he's such a good
Well,
Yeah.
person
always he's
and a good
always supportive.
guy.
He is,
If you don't
right? And
see
he's
anybody else
Mm-hmm.
passionate.
on these
Very passionate.
podcasts, you can rest assured Mark is going to be on it, whether either on the stage or behind the stage, asking
I'm telling
questions, just
you.
being supportive. So we wanted to make sure that we showed the support for him and letting people know he is an amazing, amazing writer, and he is not just. This is why he is a award-winning author, because he does such amazing work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so ladies, I guess we're at the end of the month of October. Can you believe it?
Believe it.
Hmm.
Oh
One
my
more
God.
day.
It's almost Thanksgiving. It's so much stuff that's going on. And
Yeah.
first off, I want to say congratulations to Miss Aloja on her event last week. I heard
Yay!
it was phenomenal.
Thank
I saw some
you.
beautiful pictures
Thank
that were taken by
Beautiful.
you.
one of our
It was
authors,
By
fun.
Royce
Royce.
Dixon. Awesome,
Mm-hmm.
awesome work. So kudos to you and in the world of bringing something to Fox Valley, something that they had never seen
Mm.
before, one of many. So kudos to you for such an amazing event.
Thank you,
What else?
ladies.
What else we got going on,
Oh, he
ladies?
said, thanks, Mark.
We got a lot. We got the Lit Fest. And actually, no, Dr. Calinthia, you have something coming before we get to
To the Lit
next
Fest.
year's Lit Fest. So
Yeah,
tell
I
us about what you
do. I'm
have.
gonna
Hmm.
show. Let me see if I can show the. Let me put a. Oh shoot! You know me and tech ain't great. I'm gonna put it between us. Okay. So
Okay.
next April, I'm going to do Meet the Author event here in North Carolina. It's more going to be Meet the Author business event. I'm
Hmm.
really pulling together not just only authors but businesses as well. I have been working, as we say, a lot of people don't know, we do a lot of stuff on the back end.
Hmm.
Um, Oh, our sister left us on the back end. So there's
She's
a
still
lot of
there.
things that we do that a lot of people don't see. We're up
Hmm.
late at night doing a lot of things, like I know
Early in
my
the
sister
morning, late
Loja
at
did
night.
for this event, this wonderful event that she just had. So this event is going to pull not only authors but businesses as well too. And,
Hmm.
and
Supporting business.
I'm going to mention that I am now part of the Greater Durham Black uh what is it? The Black
In the
I'm
Chamber of
having a brain fart,
Commerce.
y'all. You know this sinus infection is getting me. But I'm a part of a membership for the Black Business Conference. I think that's what it's called. I might be wrong. Please charge it to my head, not my heart, because I'm having a moment. But it gives me the opportunity to plug a lot of the stuff that we're getting ready to do. So I'm excited about April 11th
Mhm.
in the RTP area of North Carolina. So if you're out and about and want to be able to plug your business, if you're an inspiring author, if you're an author, if you got a business that just getting off the ground, feel free to just shoot me a message at allurepublishing.net, or go on that website and send that information to me. We'll talk about that, but it will be happening April 11th. And I believe my sister Shanita said, what else is we doing?
The Lit Fest. So is there any way we can go to your website on here
Let me see if I
really
can get
quick?
let me see if I can get to my website. You know
Oh,
I
it's
ain't no
probably not up, but you know what? It's probably not
yeah,
up
it's
anymore.
not up, but what I can
Okay.
show you is the flyer.
Fire,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so next year, 2026, October 2nd to the 3rd, we are having our first trifecta literary festival. We're calling it the Lit
Lit
Fest.
Fest.
And so it'll
Exciting
be
news.
so
We announced
exciting.
that
I'm so
last week,
excited.
right?
We did, and I'm excited about what we
Yeah.
got going on. Inspired is gonna have a little cookout, right? I mean, can I say that part?
Yes, you
We're
can.
gonna have a little barbecue inspired situation going on. Then the next day we're gonna have a
Hmm.
full day of vending, y'all. The entire day. We're gonna have different events going on during the day so we can get that foot traffic in there. um, the official website will be on Allure Publishing LLC.net. So you'll be able to go to that website and you'll be able to see it is amazing, the website that's being put together
Hmm.
for this event. So I am super excited about it.
And I'm excited about doing, as I say this all the time, I'm so excited to do it with my sisters. I think this um is has inspired us all to do something differently. It started with you, Shanita, with the galas
Hmm.
that you put on. So we want to keep doing what we're doing and making sure people know that that this trifecta that you see here, we stay up all night long trying to
We
figure out
do.
ways that we can continue to promote people really literacy. We want to continue to
Yeah.
promote that. As my sister Aloja always say, we want to get people back to reading
Back to
books.
books.
We
That's right.
want them to know that books are important. As we say, we're in this environment that we don't know if we're coming or going. They're taking books off the shelves. We got many of our loved ones are working for the government and they're not getting paid. So we want to make
Mhm.
sure that we're doing our part to ensure that people know that there is platforms for them out here, whether it's at a gala that is promoted by S.H.E Publishing, whether it is an author event that was put on by Inspire, or even for me, another author event in North Carolina. We want to make sure people know that we're out here, that we're promoting, and we
Yes.
want people to be their very best. And if this is
That's
how
right.
we do it, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. I
So,
know we're about to close up and
yes,
everything. I did want to just finally let people know that where they can get Fires of Justice.
yes,
They can definitely get it at www.shepublishingllc.com. Mark does have an author page on that website, so you'll be able to see all of his books and purchase them there as well. But his book is also located at a lot of the major retailers like Amazon, Barnes and Nobles,
Hmm.
Goodreads, the other. So we just definitely want to put that plug out there too, just so that the
please
people
go
can
get
know
it.
where to
Go
get
get it.
the
Go
Black
get it.
Cyrano series. I say get all six,
Yes.
but Fires of Justice definitely grab.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay, ladies, I'm not feeling the greatest, so I'm gonna cut this one short. I love you
Mm,
guys to
Oh.
life,
love you
and we will be
too.
doing
Feel
this
better.
soon
I love y'all,
again.
both y'all. Everybody
Again.
just gonna let this
Yes.
weather get to us. We're gonna make it. Just gotta
Oh
take
man,
care of
Yes.
it's
ourselves.
not the
Drink
weather; it's the
some tea.
babies. It's the
Oh,
babies. The babies is the one that got
The
me sick.
babies.
It was the babies, and look, and I got my flu
Mm.
shot and my COVID shot, and I still got sick. So, it's the babies. But needless to say, I still love them all the same. So,
Yeah.
again, we thank you guys for coming out, sharing a little bit over an hour of your time with us to support our brother in authorship, Mark, and also supporting these upcoming events that we got coming down the pipeline, starting in April and then
Yeah.
in October. So we are going
Mhm.
to say goodnight for tonight, but be out on the lookout for the next read on our Facebook page, Confession of a Publisher Book Club on Facebook. So you'll know the next one along with the person that probably don't know, but they will know shortly. But
Fair
so
enough.
have a wonderful rest of your evening, upcoming weekend. And we say we love you. And as always, please check on those people that you think are strong, but they really are not. They need
Yeah.
more support than ever
Check
now.
your strong
So
friends.
we're gonna say good night.
Yeah.
I love you, my sisters. We'll
Love
talk
you.
soon.
Love y'all too.
Good
All righty.
night.